As you know, crooked Joe Biden and the radical left thugs who have weaponized law enforcement to arrest their leading political opponent, and leading by a lot, including Obama. I'll tell you what, you take a look at Obama and take a look at some of the things that he's done. This is the same thing. The country is very divided. And we did with Obama. We won an election that everyone said couldn't be won. We have a man who is totally corrupt and the worst president in the history of our country, who is cognitively impaired, in no condition to lead, and is now in charge of dealing with Russia and possible nuclear war. Just think of it. We would be in World War II very quickly.
He says, two, so dramatically. He's got the music. It's almost like it's the summer of 1939 all over again. Like, and, his father's going to a Nazi rally or something, or a Klan rally. I don't know which rally he did or didn't go to. But, yeah, Jonathan Lemire, you think they may want to take out the cognitively impaired part of his speeches from now on?
Yeah, that's an attack line that the Republicans and Trump love to use, but man, that does seem like he was looking in the mirror just there. I mean, and I think that we see these polls that suggest that voters are more concerned about President Biden's age than Donald Trump's age. Trump is only 3 years younger, and anyone watching Trump day in, day out shows he's changed too. He's definitely, slowed down a step. He mixes. He's never, not that he's ever been the most perhaps clearest of thinkers. Not that he ever perhaps was always someone who wouldn't trip over his own words, but that has only accelerated here. And the speech on Friday, Joe, he gave back-to-back speeches in Washington. That was fairly late in the day. Maybe he was swept up in the dramatic music that seemed to be almost playing him off the stage there. Maybe that's what that was. The aides trying to say, hey, wrap up, Mr. Former President. You're just getting yourself in trouble here. He did say, though, he'd be happy to take another cognitive test. He thinks that's the key to election, so we can leave you with man, woman, person, camera, TV, Kaylee, or whatever that was.
He may not pass that.
You just did it again. I want to see. Let's play the clip again, because again, I'm trying to figure out what happened, especially with the Obama stuff. He starts to stutter and everything. Play this one more time. Then I want to ask Kathy if she and her family.
As you know, crooked Joe Biden and the radical left thugs who have weaponized law enforcement to arrest their leading political opponent, and leading by a lot, including Obama. I'll tell you what, you take a look at Obama and take a look at some of the things that he's done. This is the same thing. The country is very divided. And we did with Obama. We won an election that everyone said couldn't be won. We have a man who is totally corrupt and the worst president in the history of our country, who is cognitively impaired, in no condition to lead, and is now in charge of dealing with Russia and possible nuclear war. Just think of it. We would be in World War II very quickly.
It's just how he says World War II. He says it with such self-assurance. You know, Kathy, this could happen to all of us. In fact, it happens to me about 12 times a day after like 3 in the afternoon. So I'm the last person to judge. And by the way, we're thinking and praying for your families. You guys prepare to batten down the hatches for the next Battle of Britain. But I think the bigger issue here is when anybody under 75 looks at these videos, and I'm dead serious here, neither of these men are in cognitive decline. They're just not. They're tired. They're old. They campaign. And at the end of the day, they start to lose words. We all, as we get older, not you all are all very young, but as you get older, sometimes you wear down and you lose words at the end of the day.
And especially you have like 6 legal cases against you and you feel like your head is going to explode every day trying to figure out how to get out of them, especially when you committed the crimes. But that's an aside.
I don't know if Meek was being entirely sincere there, but that is also something. If any of us had one federal charge against us, that would be an unbearably heavy load to bear. This guy's got 91 counts, 4 indictments, and it's got to be weighing down on him. But the question here, Kathy, is that I heard over the weekend after this tape was out. It wasn't like, oh, my God, Donald Trump's lost his mind. Oh, my God, Joe Biden's lost my mind. The question comes back to, do we not have anybody under the age of 75 that can run for president of the United States in America, and when?
Yeah, I mean, in a country of 330-odd million people, you'd think that there would be people out there, right? And all of the polls have shown us that none of the country is excited about the prospect of a Trump-Biden rematch. And yet, for a multitude of reasons that many people are disappointed with, that seems to be exactly where we're heading again. I mean, on this thing, it'll be really interesting to see whether, videotape like that one, where first time I heard it, I have to confess, I thought the network I was listening to on had overplayed the music as a kind of spoof, but it does add to that slightly surreal quality of it, and perhaps that's why he was sort of whispering in this weird way about World War II. But I think the question is going to be, when people hear that kind of videotape, where it's hard to follow what Donald Trump is saying, and he does seem to be kind of mumbling, will it have any impact on all of those polls that show that more people think Joe Biden is too old to run for re-election than Donald Trump is too old to run for re-election? And Trump has somehow got away up until now with projecting vigor or strength or something. Actually, when you read transcripts of Trump's speeches for a long time now, it's very difficult to follow them. He does meander a lot. But polls don't seem to reflect that. And it's going to be interesting to see as people hear more of that kind of videotape, the World War II, am I running against Obama, the kind of meandering, does it make a difference on the polls?
Well, and Richard, the thing is, I've always thought it so, I think it's just hilarious that you have people that actually support Donald Trump, have listened to what he has said, the nonsense, the garbled, the word salad, the whatever you want to call it, just the absolute insanity if you follow the transcripts. And then they look at Joe Biden and say, oh, he's cognitively impaired. When you follow any Joe Biden press conference, as far as actual facts, as far as actual policy prescriptions, and compare them to just about any other Donald Trump press conference, there's just not a comparison. Yes, I can play 5 minutes of tape that shows Donald Trump looking cognitively declined. I could do the same for Joe Biden. At the end of the day, though, if you cut down underneath that and just talk about who is cogent on policy, Donald Trump loses by a landslide every time, doesn't he?
He does. But what's interesting about Trump is every once in a while I think there's some method to his madness, that he's actually quite clever in crossing lines about legal culpability when he, or on policy issues, how he was fencing with Kristen Welker yesterday on abortion, or he throws out the nonsense about how he'd end the war in Ukraine and just get these guys in a room, just like he ended the North Korean nuclear program. But he's, in his own way, he reduces his own vulnerability, and he kind of spins just constantly. And I'd say for his base, it clearly works for them. It's not conditional, the support, so he can get away with this kind of stuff, Joe. And I just think his supporters, they're kind of impervious to this sort of thing.